Hello and welcome to the Daily Mail, Sunday the 30th of October 2022. Today's Millwall news, we're going to start off with the 4 takeaways piece, as usual from the London News Online.co.uk. 4 takeaways after Millwall's 1-0 loss at Huddersfield. Hutch such a huge miss, as away form was still an issue. Millwall's run of 4 consecutive championship wins came to an end at the hands of Huddersfield Town on Saturday afternoon. Gary Rowett side were handed just their second defeat in 8 games, thanks to Yuta Nakayama's fluke finish in the 9th minute. It could and perhaps should have been more comfortable for Mark Rotherham's side. They had never cleared off the line and hit the post in the dominant first half performance. Here are Alex Grace's takeaways from the contest. Winning run ended. Millwall were brought back down to earth with a thud in West Yorkshire. It was a very tough first half for Gary Rowett's men, who could not have complained if they had found themselves further than 1 goal behind at the break. Etienne Kamara was denied by George Long before Billy Mitchell cleared Jack Rudoni's header off the line from the resulting corner. Credit must be given to Huddersfield. It looked like they were desperate to win the game, and you can see why. The Terriers came into the game rock bottom of the championship table. People with short memories in football, it's well worth noting that this was a team that reached the playoff final last season. One of their other journalists sitting alongside me said their performance was akin to some of the terrific performances they produced during that run to Wembley last season. There was a feeling among the Millwall fan base before the game that this would be a potential banana skin, and that's exactly what it turned out to be. Away form remains a concern. There is still a big concern about Millwall's away form. They have not been the side that have found it easy on the road, and that is well documented. However, if the Lions are aiming for a place in the top 6, they are going to have to start picking up points on the road. The South Londoners have taken just 5 points away from home this season. Only Middlesbrough and Huddersfield have a worse record. However, coming up next for Millwall's men is a trip back to one of his former clubs in Birmingham City. The Lions have enjoyed recent success against the Blues and are unbeaten in their last 6 trips to St Andrews, leaving hope that Saturday's defeat can be quickly forgotten about. Hutch a big miss indeed. It's been said before, but Sean Hutchinson is such a big miss for the Lions. It's clearly evident at the John Smith Stadium. Charlie Cresswell is a good defender in his own right, but Hutchinson offers that calmness in defence, something Cresswell and Cooper lacked a little. There was a tendency to overplay between them at times, which prevented Millwall from getting the ball forward. The captain is set to be out of action until after the World Cup. The Lions have worked so hard in recent weeks to get their season up and running, and the partnership between Hutchinson and Cooper has been vital to their defensive improvements. Cresswell is a young player learning his trade and will make mistakes. He will now get the chance for a run in the team before the World Cup break, with Murray Wallace still recovering from injury and Millwall's centre-back options very limited. Despite defeat, Millwall remain well placed. The Championship is the most unpredictable league in the world, as Saturday proved, with a team at the bottom of the league defeating opponents who had won their previous 4 games. There is initial disappointment at losing and the run ending, but the Lions are in 8th spot with 24 points. This is not a bad position to be in at this stage of the campaign. They are just 7 points off second spot with a game in hand. It shows the unpredictability of this league. It's well worth remembering that at the start of the month, the Lions were just 3 points above the bottom 3 after the defeat of Blackburn. Don't get too high with wins, and more importantly, don't get too low after defeat. Yes, yeah. Little highs, little lows. We now have a trip to Birmingham on Wednesday, and then a home game against Hull. And then a week after that, a away game at Preston North End, and then we have a couple of weeks off. So, interesting stuff. And we just wait and see what team actually turns up at Birmingham, and do they put the effort in and try and win this game. So moving on now to this, also from London News Online.co.uk. It was nothing to do with Sav. Millwall boss Rowett on midfield are not coming on in loss to Huddersfield Town. Gary Rowett has confirmed that there is no issue with George Saville, despite the midfielder being an unused substitute in Saturday's 1-0 defeat at Huddersfield Town. The Northern Line international was left on the bench despite Rowett using all 5 substitutes available to him during the game in Yorkshire. The midfielder missed the win over West Bromwich Albion last weekend with an illness, and fans had expected to see Saville return to the starting lineup, but Rowett opted to stick with Jamie Shackleton in that role. Saville and Billy Mitchell had been standout performers in recent weeks. "It was nothing to do with Sav," said the Lions chief. "There's a good chance it will come into the team for the next couple of games, or one of the next couple of games, certainly. Shax has done well enough in the previous game and Billy to stay in the team. We spoke about working hard to keep the shirt. At the end, I just felt as though we needed something to unlock the game with a bit of quality. With Evo sitting in the front of the back four, he's got good passing ability. Didn't quite work, but again, it was horses for courses. It wasn't a time to give someone some minutes, it was a time to try and get back into the game. It's as simple as that." What the fuck are you talking about? Giving George Saville minutes has been one of our better players this season. He took his time getting back into it since he came back from Middlesbrough, but this lately he's been absolutely superb. So why the fuck are you giving him minutes? He's one of our better players. And you needed some quality to unlock the game. And you thought that was George Evans. When the fuck has he ever been quality for us? What is this guy talking about? And Shackleton did really well in the previous game. That would be the previous game against West Bromwich Albion that we just about won with a last minute goal. Is that one, yeah? Okie dokie. Not the one before where George Saville played and we beat Watford 3-0, that one. But Shackleton did well enough in the game that we just scraped against West Brom to stay on, yeah? Or maybe it's because the game was at Huddersfield, which is just down the road from Leeds. You wanted to play Shackleton because you didn't want Leeds, if they turned up to see him there, not to see him there, and be a bit pissed off and think about recalling him in January, which I understand. Look, you want to keep him until the end of the season. You want the squad to stay as strong as it can until the end of the season, which I understand. But, it didn't work, did it? It didn't work. Not only did we not get the result, we looked absolutely fucking abysmal. Now, moving on to this, also from londonnewsonline.co.uk. Millwall boss weighed up a triple half-time change, but explains why he held fire on substitutions. Gary Rowett contemplated making 3 substitutions at half-time during Millwall's 1-0 defeat at Huddersfield Town on Saturday afternoon. The Lions had a torrid first half in West Yorkshire and created very little as the Terriers dominated the proceedings. We created fuck all, and we'll show you that later as we get into stats. Mill did well to get to the break just 1 goal behind. George Long made 2 good saves, and the hosts also struck the woodwork before the break. "I thought about making 3 changes at half time," said Rowett, but I wanted the players to have the opportunity. We did it about 55 minutes in, so we gave them 10 minutes in the second half. It was long enough for the players coming on to have an impact. They did have an impact. It wasn't quite as positive an impact, but that's what happens sometimes. We are a team. We understand and recognise what type of team we are. In some games, we're going to blow teams away, like Watford, which we probably shouldn't do, and then we will have games like today where we fall a bit short. You also have to hand credit to Huddersfield. They worked incredibly hard, and they broke with that little bit of intensity, like a team desperate to get that win. And they did just about enough to stop us getting back into it. There you go. Thought about changing it at half time because we were so bad. Didn't change it at half time. When the changes did happen, we actually started to attack and actually had a shot on goal. Can you believe it? Yeah, incredible stuff. So, and we'll get into that now. This is from southernnews.co.uk. Mill mustered just 1 shot on target in disappointing defeat at Huddersfield. The Lions' 5-man unbeaten run was ended at the John Smith Stadium yesterday afternoon. Gary Rowett was left feeling frustrated by his side's attacking output in their 1-0 loss to Huddersfield Town. Millwall registered just 1 shot on target from 4 attempts across the 90 minutes. Yes, we had 4 attempts on goal. 1 was on target in 90 minutes of football, giving them a total XG, expected goals, of 0.7. Not one of the Lions starters managed a single shot, with the 4 attempts all coming from Benik Afobe, Mason Bennett and Tyler Berry, all of whom were subbed on in the final third of the match. So why were they not subbed on at half time? Their disappointment up front comes after an impressive run of 4 straight wins where they found the back of the net 9 times. However, they were well marked by the Terriers on Saturday afternoon, with Rowett clearly feeling disappointed that his side were unable to really test Lee Nichols in the host's net. "I think that's where you're hoping for a little bit of brilliance, aren't you?" he said after the game. "You're hoping that someone beats someone. I thought we got into some really good positions, then go and make the difference. We just seemed a little bit shy of shooting today for some reason." There were a couple of times with Vogie, Glenn, we got into those little inside pockets and we tried to make an extra pass. Like I said, crossing into the box, we didn't allow ourselves to get that pressure on Huddersfield for long enough. We had a couple of moments. Tyler prodded one goalwards. I think it just gets saved on the line. Benik at the end, where he has a little moment where we wonder if it might be a penalty or if he could have done better with the shot. It was one of those games like Huddersfield worked just about hard enough, just about diligent enough to keep us at bay, and we didn't quite have the quality to open them up. Yeah, so 4 shots in 90 minutes, and one of them was on target, which was Tyler Berry's one. See here. Excellent work by George Honeyman. Didn't even look up. Just put a in swinging cross into a danger zone. Tyler Berry got guides in there and just kind of gets his foot on it and it goes towards goal. But it's very it's not a shot. He just kind of prods it towards goal. But yeah, so that all of the subs did all of the attacking, and it's just ridiculous, to be honest with you. So let's before we get into the actual stats of the game, just a reminder: tomorrow at the Den, 2:00 kickoff, Cardiff City under-21s. It's a game. It's an under-21s game at the Den, so something to look forward to. Should be a decent game. The under-21s have only lost 2 times this season. 2 away games when the opposition fielded a number of overage players because they wanted to win the game, and they did. So, but what can you do? What can you do? Well, you can play Cardiff City at the Den and smash them, and hopefully that happens tomorrow. 2 p.m. kickoff at the Den, and you can buy tickets to that, obviously, and buy at £5. I believe it's £2.50 parking, which goes to charity. So there you go. Now moving on to the stats. Now this is from experimental361.com, which actually in time for me to put it in my video is the XG 1.2 for Huddersfield, 0.9 for Millwall. But as you can see, a number of tropes that existed from last season and before in our away games. Namely, the first shot the opposition have on our goal goes in. Check, yes. There it is there. The blue circle. That's the first shot that they had on our goal. And a first half where we don't have a fucking shot on target. So this is quite similar to the Blackburn game. You remember that one before the 0-0 one from last season, away one, absolute stinker. We only had 1 shot on target in that game, I believe. Yeah, so it's literally how it used to be. And here you can see in the first half, Huddersfield have a lot of chances, but 3 very good ones, which brought out a number of saves from George Long. Did pretty well, to be honest with you. And we did actually quite well defending. But you can see that the second half they come out, they do a lot of time wasting in the second half, and you can see we are flatlining. We are the black line, which you can't even see till about the 80th minute when Tyler Berry shot, and the 3 other shots happen, and that's it. That is it. I mean, if you're one of the 758 who travelled up there, I mean, fucking hell. This is fucking abysmal. The performance Can you call it a performance? It's abysmal. It's absolutely abysmal. So here we are on info.net. Scroll down and look at the match events. The yellow cards of Bradshaw, Cresswell, Tyler Burry, and the number of substitutions that were made. So you can see here, so Burry and Afobe come on 59-60 minutes. We get our first shot about roughly 15 minutes later. It must have been 20 minutes later because it must have been when Honeyman, after Honeyman came on. So they took 20 minutes to get into the game, Burry and Afobe. So if you would have made the changes at half time, we could have started attacking from around the 55th minute mark. They would have got into it then. Then we would have had a bit more time to actually get some more shots on target. We might have actually fucking scored. And it might have been a 1-1. So they give the XG actually as 0.66 Battlefield and 0.68 to Millwall, which is kind of weird. I wonder why they're doing that. I think maybe because the attempt they hit the bar, they don't count as an XG. Because technically that's off target. That might be the reason why they're doing that. So if we look at the XG shot map, so where were the shots and how good were they? This is Huddersfield. This is what we restricted them to. I think after that first long shot win in, they did try and do a number of long shots, and you can see here, they just, maybe they thought it was a thing that they could exploit. They took a number of shots from roughly the same distance out, but spread out across the pitch, and a number of chances inside the area, which weren't very good chances, to be honest. Now here's Millwall's. There's the Tyler Berry one, yeah. So that was our first shot, I guess, on 81 minutes. Bobby 90 plus 7, Bobby 90, Mason Bennett in 89. Now, I've said Mason Bennett. And why the hell did Mason Bennett not start? Recently, he's had 2 assists in the 2 games that he featured. So he's obviously in form. Why did he not play in this game? And you've got to wonder. So obviously, we've got 3 games in a week. We've got this game, Huddersfield, Birmingham, Hull. You would imagine that probably the Birmingham game will be the harder game. So maybe the players that featured in this weren't the best. What Saville didn't play because he wants him to play in the Birmingham game. Bennett didn't play because he wants him to play in the Birmingham. And he would hope that players like Shackleton and Styles and Vogelsammer have enough about them to go to the team that's bottom of the fucking table and perform like a decent championship team and get a result. But it didn't work out that way. So let's look at this map and look at the shots in the first half. Interesting, okay. Weirdly, there's some kind of pattern here. I don't know if I'm being a bit autistic or whatever. There's like what's that thing in the fucking sky? Orion, look. Orion's belt there. Camera, Ward, Thomas, and Nakayama. So there you go. That's their attempts in the first half. Second half, yeah, they switched and went to the other side. So and you can see we restricted them to long shots from the left-hand side of the area, and looked like maybe they were trying to repeat the first goal that they scored. Now let's look at Millwall first half. Now obviously there's going to be absolutely nothing there because we didn't have a shot. Even though some of the match reports the other day said Vogelsammer had a shot 44th minute. I don't know where the fuck that went. Did it go over? Did it go wide? It wasn't on target because it doesn't count as an XG. So second half, so they had 4 shots in the second half. We had 4 shots in the second half. The second half team was stronger than the first half team. Plus, they kind of weren't trying that hard. They were time wasting, defending a lot more. We made them defend a lot more. And it's just a shame that changes didn't happen at half time. But like I said, hopefully the reason why is because Gary Rowett thought that the team he put out for this would be strong enough to do something there. Because he wanted the stronger players like Saville and Bennett to play against West Brom on Wednesday. And hopefully they do, and hopefully we win that game. But it's not a given. We've only had one away win since March, so one draw, one away draw. I think that's basically it, isn't it? Oh, and we drew against Swansea with 2 own goals that they gave us. So there you have it. Moving on now to whoscored.com. So you can see on the right hand side, top 5 rated players are all West Brom players. They had the most shots, of course. Callum Styles had the most tackles. Interesting. And you can see Millwall had no strengths. Were poor at finishing, were aggressive, committed a high number of individual errors. Played with width and dominated possession. Yeah, I think looking back at the goal, the highlights of that goal, the game, the extended highlights, I think, to be honest, I'm going to pin the blame for that goal on Vogel Sama. He was slow in pressing down his man going forward. They passed it around him and he was slow getting back as well. And then the geezer just drove forward and shot it over George Long in his goal. So, Vogel Sama, what were you doing? He looked all kind of at sea there. Why he wasn't taken off earlier, I don't know. They did apparently switch him to the other side. So they obviously knew there was a problem there. So here we go. Attempts 14-4, 5-4 open play, 8-0 set pieces. So the set pieces that we were apparently so good at, we didn't even fucking have a single one. Which is incredible. Do we have any corners? Well, we'll find out that later. 1-0 counter attack. So there you go. You can see because they had 14 shots and we restricted them to only 1 goal, that's a 7% conversion rate, which isn't that good. It really isn't that good. So our defending was kind of decent actually. So left hand side they were going down mostly. We were going down the wings. Shot directions, shot zones, action zones, and player positions. Okay. So you got Vogel Sama there playing in the middle apparently. That was his position where he was, I guess because he started out on the right and they moved him to the left, so that aggregates him in the middle apparently. But that's a bit weird, isn't it? Just how compacted Millwall are there. Obviously, Bradshaw having to drop deep, Fleming having to drop deep. Not really doing a lot of attacking there. Moving on to this section of newsford.com, the match centre from that game. There's the match events again, subs and the yellow cards. If you look at the top by the club badges, average player rating for Huddersfield 6.89, average player rating for Mill 6.20. We have man in the match is Helic. Probably, yeah, I guess. For Mill, it seems to be Danny McNamara because he had the clearance off the line, which the match report just gave to Billy Mitchell. So, but this website's giving it to Danny McNamara. And in terms of Shackleton, who did well enough in the game that we just scraped against West Brom, was the lowest rated starter along with Bradshaw. But there you go. Good stuff apparently, yeah. So total shots obviously 14-4, and none of the starting 11 had a shot. Tyler Burry, Bennett, and Afobe. just like the Southern News said. That's kind of ridiculous, isn't it? That is absolutely ridiculous. Possession. So clearly, Huddersfield doing a Millwall. We don't like possession. We generally don't like having it. And we actually had more possession than them, 58-41. And who was on the ball the most? Jake Cooper, Cresswell. So we were kind of playing it along Brown at the back, no? Not really doing anything with the ball. Cresswell had 9.1% of the match possession, which is weird. So pass success percentage 68 to 76 by team, but by player, Shackleton, Mitchell, and Cresswell. George Long 53, very good for a goalkeeper. Very good for a goalkeeper. Probably, I wonder what that's about. Dribbles only 4 and 4. Okay. Aerials 1, 29 to 24. So Helic with 8. That's obviously helped him get the man of the match rating there. Obviously, and the assist. Cooper with 7. Obviously played him up front at the end, which is kind of crazy, but you got to do what you got to do, haven't you? Tackles, only 10 to 9 tackles. Interesting. And you see Styles with 4, the most tackles, more than any other player, even Helic for them. Corners 8 to 1. So we actually did have a corner, did we? Cool. Okay. Dispossessed 6 and 6. Okay, so moving on now to more player stats. Let's have a look at Huddersfield first. So 14 shots I had. Let's have a look at that. 14 shots. How many did they have on target? 5. Okay, so that's why the defenders had good stats for us. They had 5 shots, so they had 14 shots. 5 of them were on target, and they only scored 1. They probably should have had 2 with that number of shots on target. Probably why they were at the bottom of the table. The general rule is it doubles, it kind of halves each time. So 14 should have went to 7, 7 should have went to 2, roughly. But it didn't, which means they're underperforming. If we scroll down to the Millwall side and have a look at this sort of show. So ratings for Millwall players, McNamara with the best, 6.7, then George Long 6.54. So obviously where they've had 5 shots on target, George Long had to make a number of very good saves. Not outstanding, but very good. And that's given him the second highest rating of the Millwall players, 6.54. Then Jake Cooper 6.42, and then it drops off quite precipitously. And as you can see, as we go down to Tyler Burry, 5.74. Bit harsh. He only had looks like the only shot on target. Bradshaw 5.88. Shackleton 5.94. So Shackleton on the pitch for 90 minutes. He only got a rating of 5.94. He got beaten by George Evans, who was on the pitch for about 8 minutes. He got beaten by a number of other subs, namely Afobe, Bennett, Honeyman, and that was it. So that's how bad Jamie Shackleton was. Well, I don't know if he was bad, but he just didn't have any production because he got beaten by players who came off the bench. So that was a great idea to start him and not start George Saville. Fantastic idea. Yeah, worked out really well, didn't it? Or even play George Honeyman there. I mean, because he put the cross in for the Tyler Berry shot and goal. So let's have a look at the shots actually. It's obviously 4 shots. and 1 on target. Yeah, this is the worst it gets from back in the dark ages, the time that we thought we'd turned a corner from and moved on from, but no, it's reared its ugly head, and we are back to being shit again. Total touches, obviously, here you go. This is it. This is why their passing percentages are so high. Cresswell 86 touches, Jake Cooper 80. And then it drops off massively to McNamara 61, Billy Mitchell 60. They were just passing it between them, it seems. Just wasting time. Okay. Moving on to offensive. We've seen shots on target. Let's have a look at offsides. There was one offside, Tyler Berry, okay. And unscheduled touches, basically poor ball control. So maybe that's why Tyler Berry got a low score. He got 3 there in a short space of time. Callum Styles with 3 as well. James Shackleton 2 and Bradshaw 2. So probably unscheduled touches seems to be a stat that kind of messes with your rating. If we look at defensive and look at tackles, obviously there weren't a lot of tackles in that game for some reason. Callum Styles 4, then Shackleton 2, Cooper with 1. It was more kind of closing down, so let's have a look at all the other stuff. Interceptions. Malone and Bradshaw. Okay, that's kind of weird as well. Clearances. This is it. This is what we're talking about. This is what it was. It wasn't tackles or interceptions. It was clearances. A number of clearances. Absolutely. Was it 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 clearances? Crazy stuff. Cresswell with 4. He played a bit better, Cresswell. Simon Fleming, George Long. Like I said, I'm pointing the finger at Andreas Vogelsammer. I think because we had to do a lot of defending in that game, not really his cup of tea, was it? Didn't really suit him, and he looked kind of lost at sea there. Block shots, we've got 4 shots: Cresswell, Shackleton, Vogelsammer, and McNamara. Yeah, I think that Vogelsammer one was probably the one we nearly conceded again from a corner. The corner that ironically he actually cleared. And he again didn't pick up his man at the corner that they had. And it nearly went in. I think he hit George Long, came back to Vogelsammer, and he just hooked it out. Yeah, not a good game for him, in my opinion. Passing wise, so who's had the most passes? Obviously, oh my god, here we go. Cresswell 76, Cooper 70. Then it drops off again massively. Billy Mitchell 2. Yeah, it seems they were just kind of passing it between themselves, weren't they? For a lot of the time. So when you're looking at that, again, as usual, you got to pick out probably Billy Mitchell, but Charlie Cresswell. But you know he's just doing short passes mainly. Though he did have 21 long balls, so that's probably decent accuracy there. 81.6 off of 76. If we got crosses and accurate crosses, we got 4 and 1. Honeyman, look, 4 and 1. He came on the 75th minute. He's had the most crosses in the game. And then Bennett as well came on roughly the same time, 2 and 1. All of these players having crosses here. Who are they crossing to? Who was in there? So all of these players having crosses, how many were accurate? Only 4. Malone, Bennett, Fleming, and Honeyman. Long balls and accurate long balls. So Charlie Cresswell 21 and 11. George Long 17 and 3. So his passing accuracy of 53.3 was not off of his long balls. It was off of his short balls, probably to Cresswell. Because if you got 17 now, what's that? 23. No, it'll be 13. So he had 13 short passes, 17 long balls. McNamara 13-4, Jay Cooper 10-4, Malone 6-0. Yeah, it's not very good, is it, all round? Yeah, let's go back to the ratings. Danny McNamara 6.7, George Long 6.54, Jay Cooper 6.42, and then everyone else is just a much of a muchness except for Jamie Shackleton. I mean, where this guy apparently wants to play in the middle, but he's quick as a whippet, and he should probably be playing out on the right. But what can you do? What can you do? We shall see. Hopefully the changes get rung for the Birmingham game, and Saville comes in, Bennett comes in. Obviously, still missing Hutchinson, still missing Murray Wallace. Hopefully the players can pull themselves together and do something. And on that note, thank you for watching, and goodbye.